Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. I have 2 new online series offerings for the fall. A Feldenkrais series titled Coming to Your Senses, an exploration of the spaces of the eyes, the mouth, jaw, ears, vocal and breathing apparatus. And my second course, Wakeful Body, the blending of yoga and Feldenkrais on Monday nights. As one student recently described Monday nights, that felt like I just gave myself a massage. So these fall classes will be a continuation of some fan favorite stretching sequences that incorporate bolsters and other props to enhance the poses. There is still plenty of time to join these courses live or via the course recordings. You can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. This podcast is an intersection of my yoga teaching and my training in the Feldenkrais method. Today's class is the intro class to my upcoming Feldenkrais series, Soften the System. It is another Feldenkrais approach to settling the body and another example of the powerful effect that calming the hands can have on our whole system, including our eyes. There will be a focus in today's class on relaxing the eyes. I welcome anyone who is new to this method. And before we get to the movement lesson, I first just want to talk a little bit about the subject matter, softening the system. Within these larger systems that we live in, the universe, the earth, the country, your neighborhood, is of course your own bodily system. And within your own bodily system, you have many: your nervous system, your musculoskeletal system, digestive system, your respiratory breathing system, and many more. And it might feel as though every week or 2 weeks, there's a bit of an overwhelming sense of collective anxiety, sometimes in response to a current event. Or perhaps after the last 2 years, your body has some kind of recurrent or pervasive sense that something bad is going to happen, or that there's some kind of danger around the corner. That may or may not be true for you. And what many people feel is the body trying to protect itself from this repeated experience of stress, of anxiety, possibly of trauma. And I don't think any of us are immune to this. It affects us all in different ways and on different levels. So this series will be focusing on softening our own individual bodily systems, but within the community online. We're not going to focus on fixing something, but rather we're going to play and see if we can expand our capacity for ease in the body. And feeling ease in the body is not always easy. It is not something that is accessible for everyone. And so we'll use these really unique tools within the Feldenkrais lessons to practice how to find ease in the body, also how to find a sense of pleasure and curiosity within our movement. I will be referencing Resmaa Menakem, who is the author of My Grandmother's Hands, which is this beautiful book that offers an alternative view of how we can grow beyond the racial divide that is amongst us. And in his book, he offers these different somatic healing methods. And as I was first reading it, I was really struck by how many of the somatic tools that he suggests are similar and or almost identical to some of the methods that Feldenkrais worked with in some of his lessons. And so some of those things are understanding how our breathing can be a change agent for the central nervous system, relaxing our hands to support the relaxation in the whole system, using our voice, including humming, relaxing our eyes, and a rocking of the body. And so those are just a few of the themes that we'll start to explore and really break open within the lessons. And so what we'll be doing is moving in this direction of unwinding, which in a way is a not doing, a not efforting. So again, we're not focusing on trying to fix something. Now, as you approach today's lesson, there will be interlacing of the fingers and a rolling of your hands. And the rolling of your hands has nothing to do with seeing how far you can go or even looking for an increase in the mobility. The consistent rolling of the hands that we will do in this lesson is a way for you to bring awareness to any unnecessary effort in the hands so that you can start to look for an absence of effort in the hands. And the movement itself might become more and more lazy so that you can start to feel the effort of the hands start to dissolve. And just keep this in mind during the lesson if you feel as though your hands are getting tired or some part of you is getting tired because of the repetitions. How can you go slower? How can you do the movement with much less effort in your hands? All right, so if you resonate with today's approach, there's always more to find in my self-paced Feldenkrais audio series. You can check the show notes for those recommendations and for other links to my classes. So let's start today's lesson. Go ahead and lie on your back. And as you come to your back, could you start with your eyes open and just begin to see around your room? And you are welcome to turn your head, turn your eyes, and just looking about your room, noticing the environment, noticing maybe where the light's coming from, if there's a window or if there's a door. And in some way, you're just getting a sense of your environment, but also a sense of the safety that you feel in your environment, because we will close our eyes for most of this lesson. And notice what it's like to see around the room, what your eyes feel, the comfort of your neck. Great. And then just come back to the center with the head and let your eyes close. And begin to feel the contact with the floor. Really giving yourself permission to take up space in the lengthening direction from your heels, your toes, all the way up to the top of your head. And feel the sense of length of your spine from your tail to the back of your head. And then give yourself permission to take up space in this widening direction, feeling the weightedness of your pelvis settle, the back of your chest. Observe how you organize your arms for that feeling of wideness. Allowing your shoulders to be wide from one collarbone to the other. Notice, without changing, what direction your palms are oriented. Are they facing towards the floor? Are they facing yourself? Are the palms towards the ceiling? And there's no need to change, just notice. And how we land and how we find comfort in this beginning position reflects a little bit of the habits we use. The muscular tonus that's remaining right now, even when we're resting, right? Because when you're resting, you're not actively moving bones. And the reasons that muscles have to engage is to be able to move the bones. So here in this resting, in the quietness, just observe how you're placed. Compare your right leg to your left leg. The level of the two hip joints. The way that you sense your structure can settle from side to side. And do this same kind of comparing of sides through the length of the torso, comparing the lower back on the two sides, the back of your chest on the right and on the left. Notice the two sides of your neck. And then begin to bring awareness to the sensations of your face. Sense the inside of your mouth, the shape that the inside of the mouth is creating right now. Notice your upper palate, the sensation of your upper palate, and you're welcome to gently move your tongue to be able to feel the upper palate to help you get an image of the shape of the upper palate. And directly above the upper palate are your eyes. And so when you're sensing the upper palate, perhaps with your tongue, you may start to get a better image or sense of these different caves, these different cavities that are within the face, the shape of the facial bones, the the shape of the bones that hold your eyes. Great, and just begin to notice your breathing. And for the first part of this lesson, you can decide if you'd like to have your legs long or bend your knees and stand your feet. And you can even shift between those two as you need to so that you're comfortable. So bring some attention to your left arm, your left hand, and slowly start to roll your left palm so that if your palm is facing up, you just roll your left lower arm bone a little bit so that your left palm faces down. And you'll go back and forth like this, smoothly and slowly, rolling the hand so that the palm faces towards the floor and then towards the ceiling. And moving slowly, slower than perhaps you are right now. Feeling the tone in the palm of the hand and the fingers, seeing if you can sense that the hand itself can stay relaxed as you do this movement. And noticing how the pressure changes on the floor. Just gently rolling, feeling how the bones in the lower left arm rotate a little bit so that your palm faces down and faces up. Not straining, not pushing, and we'll be rolling our hands quite a bit in the lesson, so I suggest that, or I mention that, so that you take care of yourself. Move slower when you need to. Great, and now just let the left hand pause the rolling, and just sense how your whole left arm and your left shoulder meet the floor, and compare that to the right arm, right shoulder, right hand. And just after that, see if you notice any kind of shift or change. Notice how the upper back on the left side meets the floor compared to the right. And then starting slow, begin to roll your right hand, turning the palm up and turning the palm down. This action, this movement may help you become aware of some unnecessary tension that you're holding in your hand. You may notice a big difference between the two arms, between the two hands. Of course, we all have different habits because of hand dominance. So you're looking to find a movement here with this rolling of the hand that feels somewhat regular, it feels somewhat easy, so that as you do it, can you also have awareness of your breathing? Good. Let that pause. And now interlace your hands and place your hands on your upper abdomen, maybe your lower ribs, somewhere where it feels easy to just place interlaced hands on yourself. And from here, can you start to gently roll your hands? So the fingers are interlaced in an easy way. And so just rolling the hands on yourself. And so you may not roll the hands as far, but you're continuing to touch your torso. And at one point, your palms face a little away from your head, and then back to face yourself, and then the palms turn a little bit to face towards your head. And you're finding a way that you can do this comfortably. And you might need to change exactly where your hands are so the shoulders are comfortable. And as you do this, looking for the unnecessary effort in your hands, but also in the shoulders. Great. And continue to do this. Keep rolling the hands, but start to use your right hand to roll the hand. So your left hand becomes completely passive. See if you can feel the work leaving your left hand. Soft fingers, soft thumbs. Great. Continue, but now let your left hand start to take over the work. So your right hand becomes completely passive, and now your left hand is rotating both hands. The fingers are still interlaced, but you feel it's your left hand that's doing just the minimal amount of work to rotate your hands like this. If you're feeling that so much effort all of a sudden in your shoulders, why would the shoulders work so hard just doing this small thing? And you feel like it might be helpful to put a little something underneath each elbow. Some people find use there if they put just like a little pillow or something underneath each elbow. For some people, the elbows meet the floor really easily here, and it doesn't feel like that would be necessary. Good. Now just see if you can equalize the rolling of your hands. So not one hand isn't passive or one hand active, but both hands are equal in their effort. Great. And now roll, the fingers stay interlaced, but roll one hand up and one hand down. So one hand rolls so the palm faces towards your feet, and one hand rolls so that the palm faces towards your head. And the fingers soften so you feel the fingers and the knuckles sliding around a little bit, almost like there's jelly between the hands, between the fingers, feeling the fingers move in different directions. And the breathing is easy, without strain in the fingers. Good. And now go back to both hands moving in the same direction. Notice if there are any other areas in the body that you're holding tension where you may be able to soften. And then start to roll your hands really quickly, like a little jiggle. So make it really, really small, very quick, nice and quick. Yeah, very fast right on you. And then let that rest and let the hands roll slowly again. Notice your breathing. And we'll do that again in a moment. As we do it, see if you can feel that the breath can stay slow, relaxed, as the hands are moving quickly. So when you're ready, start to move the hands quick, light, nice and quick on the body. Yeah, the fingers are still interlaced. And let that release. Great. And bring the arms down alongside the body. And just take a moment to rest and feel the contact with the floor. Good. Now bring your two hands over your face. Your right palm will cover your right eye. Your left palm will cover your left eye. So the fingers might cross on your forehead, or the fingers might just be on the forehead and then on some hair. But you're taking the outer surface of your palm and covering the eye with it so that there's no actual pressure on your eyeball, but the palm creates a seal around your eye. So you can find a way for the hands to stay really soft and that soft tissue of the palm to just mold around the shape of your facial bones right around your eyes. And the eyes are closed and you're trying to block out all the light, not any pressure or push onto the actual eyes. And then now that you're there, is there any way you can release any unnecessary strain in your shoulders or your elbows? And see what it is that you actually see in your visual field. So you're not looking outside at an object, but with your eyes closed and as you're blocking out the light, you might see movement. You might see color. You might see light and shapes. So notice, what do you see when you're not looking at anything? And this movement that can seem almost like a kaleidoscope for some people, or it may be like a really distinct shape or area of light. This is the optic nerves firing, sending messages to the brain. So there's some kind of information, messages, activity, if we want to call it that. And just get a sense of the weight of your eyes here. Do you see any black, any dark spots? Great, so we'll call this covering the eyes, and we'll come back here a couple of times during the lesson. So now you can bring your arms down, leave your eyes closed. You're welcome to bend your knees, stand the feet, or keep your legs long. Interlace your fingers again, place the hands on the abdomen, upper abdomen area, and then switch the interlace of your fingers so they're in the non-habitual interlace. And with the fingers interlaced, begin to gently roll the hands like we've been doing, rolling the hands so the palms turn towards the face, and then the palms turn towards your feet, and finding a really gentle pace that suits you. Feeling there's a little bit of weight of your hands on your abdomen, kind of like you're rolling over a balloon, some soft tissue. And continue to roll the hands, but lift your left elbow off the floor. And feel how this changes how you sense the back of your chest lying on the floor. How much work do you really need to do in your left shoulder to have your left elbow lifted? So you're looking for a freedom there, looking for a way to make it easier for yourself. Good. And then bring the left elbow down. Continue rotating the hands, the interlaced hands, and lift your right elbow off the floor. Keep the right elbow lifted off the floor as you gently rotate the interlaced hands. And feel how this changes the contact of your upper back and your shoulders with the floor. Can you relax the tongue or the jaw? Good. Let your right elbow come down. Continue to rotate the hands becoming softer and softer. And start to bring the interlaced hands in front of the sternum. So in the air, maybe 6 inches or so, right in front of your sternum, your breastbone. See if you can have a straight line between the 2 elbows so you're not bending at the wrist. So if you draw that straight line from one elbow to the other, that will tell you how far away your interlaced hands are in front of the sternum, and continue this rotation of the palms. Yeah, so the straight line is from your elbow across your arm, through your hands all the way to your other elbow. You're thinking of that straight line. That's right. And as you do this, can you sense the weight of your upper arm bones, the weight of your shoulders being supported by the floor? So each variation gives us just a little opportunity to feel ourselves in a different way. Keeping the hands interlaced, bring your hands in front of your left shoulder. The hands continue to rotate slowly. Keep the wrists long. And rolling the head if it wants to, sensing where you can soften. Notice if there's a weight change behind your ribs. And the hands, if it's easy, the hands could even start to touch the shoulder as they're in front of the left shoulder. And continue rotating the hands and just start to let the hands come back through center so they travel in front of your sternum, and then the rotating hands come over to your right shoulder. And they pause in front of the right shoulder, continuing to rotate, and just feeling what happens on this side. Try not to stop rolling, even if the movement of rolling the hands is really small. Great. And now bringing your interlaced hands to your mouth, and you can just place them on your mouth so they're actually touching your face, and start to now roll the hands on the face. So you're touching the face, your hands are, different parts of your hands are touching this different landscape of your face. You might roll over your nose, over your lips, like down towards your chin, and you're just doing this simple rotation of the hands, but the weight of the hands can give their weight to the face a bit. Great. Okay, let's let that rest. Take your arms down so the arms are just resting. And you can always rest the arms before I cue a rest. So if something was starting to fatigue, and as you were looking for those places of unnecessary efforting, and if you felt like there was a lot of fatigue and then thus more efforting, that's a cue that you're listening for. And before I propose a rest, then listening to that cue of your body and just taking a pause, taking a rest, and then coming back. Great. So interlace your fingers again, and now bring your hands up to your hairline, or where a hairline would be. If you've lost some of your hair, you can just bring it right to where the hairline is. And right from here, can you start to roll the hands? So the palms might come onto the forehead, and then the hands will roll more towards the top of your head. Small movements, feeling how your chest might open a little bit. That's right. And you get to play with how wide the elbows are or not having the elbows that wide. Like, what supports a sense of softening in your shoulders? Good. Now bring these interlaced fingers behind your head so that the back of your head rests in the palms of your hands. Your fingers stay interlaced. Again, you get to choose how wide or not wide your elbows are. And just pause here. The eyes are closed still. This area that your hands are holding is really interesting because it's where your visual cortex is. So it's the area of the brain that builds patterns. So light comes in through your eyes, and then there are some different networks. Information is sent to this part of the brain, and it starts to build the image of what you see. So you can think of this area where your hands are touching as a part of the body that can actually see something. Definitely a part of our visual system. With your hands here, can you very softly start to roll your hands? And I say very softly because the weight of your head is on your hands. So it's tiny movements of rolling the hands. Letting your fingers be soft and allowing your head to respond if it wants to. Feeling the jaw relaxed, sensing your breath. Great. Keeping your hands behind your head, roll one hand up as you roll one hand down. And then switching. So again, the fingers stay interlaced and you're cradling the back of the head. And you feel how the fingers, the knuckles kind of slide a little bit along each other. And one palm rotates a little upward as the other palm rotates downward. And you're alternating back and forth. And again, allowing your head to respond to this really gentle, slow movement behind the head. Great. And then just go back to rolling your hands in the same direction. Slip your hands out from behind the head. Just bring your hands to rest on your abdomen for a moment. Bring your palms to your eyes and cover your eyes when you're ready. And feel how soft your hands can be. Can the softness of the hands start to teach the eyes to relax? And if you feel any strain in your eyes, it's as if you're letting that dissolve into your hands, so your hands can teach the eyes to relax. And notice what the eyes see now. What kind of light or images? Is there less activity? Right? The eyes have this round shape. There's a weight to them. They are full of a almost jelly-like or honey-like substance. So you can think of the eyes full of this thick honey that gives them weight, and they can sink back into that bony cavity towards the visual cortex, the back of the head. And the eyes are completely protected, completely safe. Feeling what it's like to let the eyes float, surrounded by fluid. And then noticing what is in your visual field now, and has it changed at all from when we began? Keep your eyes closed, but slowly start to bring your hands, your arms down to rest. And just sense your face, feel what the sensations of the face are now, what your eyes feel like now. Good. Bend your right knee, stand your right foot. Have your left leg be long. So if your left knee was bent, straighten your left leg so that your left leg is long. And just let that left leg relax. And begin to push your right foot just a little bit into the floor, and then release that push of the foot into the floor. Repeat that a few times. So you push the right foot into the floor, feel how the movement moves through you, and then let go of that pushing right foot. Pause to feel the weight settle, and then repeat again. And slowly, as you push the right foot into the floor, finding a way that pressure of the right foot into the floor can start to turn the pelvis a little bit so that the weight shifts a little bit to the left. You might feel a slight turning of your spine. And then when you let go of the pressure of the right foot into the floor, the pelvis comes back to the middle, and you really give a moment to pause and let everything settle before you repeat again. And feeling how this simple movement of pressing the foot, this very simple way, affects the movement of your spine. So when you push the right foot into the floor, it's like you're pouring water, pouring something to the left. Yeah, and maybe you can go further, maybe you can tilt the pelvis further, but only as long as it feels just as easy as when you're doing it in a smaller way. Great. Let that relax, but keep your right foot standing. And feel your long left leg. And now as you press your right foot a little bit into the floor, think of lengthening, or actually lifting, your straight left leg off the floor just a tiny bit. Don't even lift the left leg, but just unweight it a little bit. And start to feel how you organize this. So I'll say that again. Your right foot standing, and as you push the right foot into the floor and you roll the pelvis a little to the left, begin to unweight your straight left leg, and then let that all go. And so your left leg is heavy, so you're looking for, what do you need to do to soften and organize so that it's possible to start to lift the left leg without too much straining, without bracing in your abdomen, without clenching the jaw. So we're not trying to disturb this feeling of softness that we're finding. And yet I'm asking you to do something a little challenging, lifting the straight left leg. And when I say lift, you're just thinking of unweighting it. The most you might lift it is enough that I could slide a really thin piece of paper underneath your heel, your left heel. Yeah, notice what happens in the abdomen and the pelvis. Great. Okay, let that rest. Take your right leg long for a moment. And just feel your two legs, the way that the two legs meet the floor. Bend your right knee again, stand your right foot. And interlace your hands and place your hands near the top of your left leg, near the front of your left hip joint, someplace you can reach easily. So the hands are interlaced, and begin this really slow, easy rolling of your interlaced hands right in front of your left hip. The hands can be touching your body, inviting the hands to soften again. And you could imagine that you roll your hands, like your hands could roll all the way down your foot, towards your foot. This is just in your imagination. Imagine the hands rolling all the way to your left foot. And then imagine the hands roll from your left foot all the way up to your head. Your hands are actually rolling on your left hip, but as they're rolling, you can imagine them moving down the left leg and back up the left leg. Good. And continue to roll the hands. And as you do that, could you find a way to unweight your left leg? Only what you can do without strain. How can you organize yourself to make this a more simple thing without holding your breath? And there's a continual rotation, slow rotation of your hands. Maybe you push the right foot a little bit into the floor to feel how your straight left leg can unweight. Good, great. Let that go. Rest, bring your arms down, take your right leg long. And just start to sense your two sides. Notice your left heel and scan from your left heel up the leg. Notice how the left side of your pelvis meets the floor. The left side of your lower back. The ribs on the left side. The left shoulder. Feel the left side of your face, the left side of your tongue, your left eye. Feel the way the quality of your left side relates to the way your left eye feels. And just compare your two eyes. Feel your right eye. Notice if there's a difference. Okay, now bend your left knee, stand your left foot, keep your right leg long. And a few times press the left foot into the floor. Really feel how the left foot meets the floor. And it can be small. Doesn't have to be a really forceful push. You push the foot and then let it go. And feeling how this push of the left foot can help support a shifting of weight over to the right side, pouring the weight towards the right pelvis. Feeling how the spine shifts a little. And continuing to push the left foot into the floor. But now, just in your imagination, imagine that you'd like to unweight the right leg. And so feeling as you actually push that left foot down, feel when would it make sense for you to start to lift the right leg. And so you're looking for that timing of lifting the right leg in your imagination. Imagine and organize so that you could lift the right leg with a little less strain, and the pushing of the left foot into the floor could support the lifting of the right leg. You can notice how you're breathing as you do this. Good. Pause. Keep your left foot standing, but feel both sides of the pelvis rest into the floor. Interlace your fingers and bring your hands in front of your right hip. And slowly begin to roll your hands. And maybe just first you notice how the hand movement affects your arms and your shoulders, your chest, your neck. So how could you make this rolling of the hands easier? You don't have to push the hands away or open the palms. Your fingers stay in this super soft, relaxed position. So never are you opening and pressing the palms. Yeah, and that's right, it might be so relaxed that your hands sort of like drift a little bit away from being fully interlaced during part of the roll. And then they find the interlace during another part of the roll. And as you continue to roll the interlaced hands, feel the left foot push into the floor and see if you can unweight the right leg. The idea that maybe a little bit of weight of that right leg comes off the floor. If at most the right leg lifts just enough that that little piece of paper could slip underneath your right heel. Feeling that sense of how to organize. Keeping the hands rolling. And keeping the hands rolling because you found a way that the rolling hands can feel so soft and ordinary. So if the rolling hands don't feel soft and ordinary, maybe pause and feel how you could make it even more simple, so light. Great. Okay, let that rest. Bring your arms down. Lengthen your left leg. Feel through the right side of you. Sense your right heel. The way the right leg meets the floor. the right side of your pelvis, the right side of the torso and back of the chest, the right side of your neck, and then sense the right side of your face, your right eye, and then compare the sensation of your right eye to your left eye. And bend your knees and stand your feet. Bring both hands to cover the eyes. So again, there's no pressure on the eyeballs. The outer surface of the palm creates a seal around your eyes. And feeling the eyes, sphere-like shape that's weighted but is floating within a fluid that surrounds it, like lilies floating in a warm pond that are just sinking back. Feeling a sense of quiet in that space, the cavity of the eyes. And noticing again, what do you see now? Do you see any areas of black or dark spaces? As the nervous system begins to shift and settle, there may be less minute movements or less activity that you're seeing. So you might notice areas of deep spaces of black, like you're looking out into a very dark midnight sky. Notice the quality of contact of your hands to the face. And can you get a sense that your eyes have released something? You might not be able to put that into words or might not be fully clear. Keeping your eyes closed, slowly start to move your hands away from the face. Check in on your breathing. And very, very slowly, softly start to open the eyes so that you feel like you allow the light to come towards you without any intention that you want to see anything. So you're not straining to look out. There's not any goal or intention to see. And so you find a way to sense the eyes in this soft field of vision without changing your breathing. And then seeing if you can find a way to look at the ceiling, which you're probably doing, but without changing that tone of the eyes. And that spot on the ceiling that you're looking at, imagine that spot is blurry. And now if you normally wear glasses and you took your glasses off, this spot might be blurry for you. Or maybe you've been looking at a computer for a long time. So take a moment, and if you imagine that spot's blurry, you would strain in some way to see that spot, to get the details you're trying to see. And so just try that for a moment. See what that's like, and then let it go. So do that action with the face, whatever you might do, to just strain a little bit to try to see the details. Notice what it does to the neck, the jaw, your breathing. And then you let it go, and you let the eyes go back to that more empty space. Great. Go ahead and roll your head a little bit. Roll the head and see the two sides of your room with this sense that the eyes aren't reaching out, but they're letting the light come in, and just see what it's like now to look about your room. Noticing the quality of the body, of the whole body. Feldenkrais said, "The aim is not complete relaxation, but healthy, powerful, easy, and pleasurable exertion. The reduction of tension is necessary because efficient movements should be effortless. Inefficiency is sensed as effort and prevents doing more and better. The gradual reduction of useless effort is necessary in order to increase kinesthetic sensitivity, without which a person cannot become self-regulating." So can you gather your limbs? Your knees are probably already bent. Roll to your side. As you roll to your side, bring your eyes with you within these bowls that they're housed in. See if you can keep the soft tone in the eyes and come up to stand, maintaining some kind of awareness of the eyes as you come up to standing. And you can feel what it's like to stand with this different sensation in the eyes. And that's a maybe. Maybe you do, or maybe you don't feel a different sensation in the eyes. And also in standing, you can feel the weight of your eyes, different orientation with gravity, or maybe a different kind of presence that they're being supported. Maybe the muscles around the eyes don't feel like they need to hold. And then just being receptive to anything else you feel in standing. The weight of your arms. And you can take this into walking. Just what is it like to walk with this different quality of seeing? Maybe there's a general shift of tone or even mood or attitude in the body. And I say that, and I just also want to say that this is a really nuanced, subtle lesson. And so there might also be a sense of, I want to move bigger, or you sort of might have this desire to do something more or different. So if that's there, just really notice it and honor that, whatever it is that's showing up. After my live stream classes, I give some space for the students to ask questions and share some of their experiences during the lesson. Here is a short excerpt of one student's experience after today's lesson.
This was really a powerful lesson for me in a number of different ways. I feel like even when I was moving in a really tiny way, the sense I had was really big. like I felt like there was an ocean inside my body that was just, the waves were not crashing, but just really big swells. And I've experienced that before, but it just particularly today. And I want to report that when you had us at the very end looking at the ceiling and like just quickly focusing and then unfocusing and focusing, it really helped me to see how much most of the time my eyes are, it's like I have this sense of there being stems, and my eyeballs are out of my body seeking something. But even now, they're in my body, and I feel like I'm seeing things, but I'm not even really focusing. And whatever that means for me, it's a pretty interesting experience, and it tells me something about the state that I'm in most of the time, and the state that I can be in. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, and those little tastes of the state that you can be in, which we know we can't live in these super relaxed states all the time. That's not realistic. And I think that even if it is most clear during a lesson or after a lesson, it still is really useful to give our systems that break, even if it does just last the time of the lesson. So I hope that it continues, 5 minutes after the lesson, an hour, a day. Like, you never know how long the effects will continue. But even that kind of hour break, I think, can be a really nice reset. Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, Dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.